Well, it's time for a real talk about what's unfolding in Kansas City. And for fantasy football managers who've been riding the Travis Kelce wave for the past decade, the forecast isn't looking good. Now, before you come for me, let me set the record straight. I've got nothing but admiration for what Kelce has accomplished. We're talking about a future Hall of Famer, a generational phenom who's been the gold standard for tight ends in fantasy football since the Obama administration. But the NFL is a young man's arena, and Father Time remains the one opponent no legend can outrun. Read the writing on the wall. Last season should have sent shockwaves through the fantasy football world, but somehow too many are still asleep. Kelce, at 35, wrapped up the season as T5 with 97 receptions, 823 yards, and just 3 touchdowns. Now, I get it. Those numbers aren't bad. In fact, for 95% of the league's tight ends, that stat line would be career-defining. But Travis Kelce isn't the 95%. He's the elite of the elite, the benchmark. And when a down year looks like this, it means the decline isn't just coming, it's already here. Here's where things start to unravel. The analytics expose what raw stats try to mask. Kelce's yards per route run dipped to a concerning 1.67, ranking 21st among tight ends. Let that sink in. This is the same guy who used to be Mahomes' automatic read, the security blanket. For context, he posted a 2.01 YPRA in 2023 and a dominant 2.44 in 2022. This isn't a slow fade, it's a cliff dive. And then there's the tape. I've dissected every snap he's played over the last 3 seasons. The drop-off isn't dramatic, it's subtle, but it's real. That first step explosiveness off the line, it's dulled. The effortless separation he once created, now it's manufactured, more dependent on schemes and spacing. Even Pro Football Focus handed him a modest 71.7 grade last season, good for 13th out of 74 tight ends. Respectable? Sure. But for a man who's owned a top 3 spot for nearly a decade, that's a throne beginning to tremble. Now let me be clear, this isn't a eulogy. Kelce can still ball. He's better than most tight ends in the league. But in the cutthroat world of fantasy football, where production, consistency, and upside reign supreme, his trajectory is trending the wrong way. Let's talk volume, the lifeblood of fantasy tight ends. Even if a player's physical tools are eroding, heavy target share can disguise it. The issue that monopoly Kelce enjoyed in Kansas City is fading, and it's not his fault. Last season, the Chiefs' receiving core was in shambles. Injuries left Kelce as Mahomes' lone trusted target, in a twisted way that boosted his fantasy stock even during a statistical downturn. He was the emergency valve, the fallback, the dependable presence in a collapsing structure. But when Rashee Rice was healthy and active, we got a sobering preview of what's to come. In the 3 full games Rice played start to finish, Kelce's production crumbled. 8 catches, 69 yards, 0 touchdowns. On 12 targets, yes, it's a small sample, but extrapolate that over 17 games, and you're looking at just 45 catches for 391 yards. Numbers that wouldn't even crack the top 15 tight ends. That's a crisis for fantasy managers banking on vintage Kelce. And here's the real pivot point, the Rashee Rice effect. Initially, the fantasy community clung to hopes that Rice might face a suspension in 2025, a potential saving grace for Kelce's target dominance. The latest buzz suggests Rice will likely be active from week 1, siphoning targets Kelce used to feast on. And let's be real, Rice isn't just filler, he's explosive, ascending, and ready to step into the WR1 role. That reality fundamentally alters the Chiefs' offensive dynamic. Mahomes is evolving, his arsenal is expanding, and Kelce, for the first time in years, is morphing into a complementary weapon, not the cornerstone. That's the natural arc of aging, even for icons. The Chiefs have always prided themselves on maximizing space and playmaker potential. But with a healthy Rise, we'll see broader target distribution, more creativity, and fewer plays where Kelce is Mahomes' unquestioned first read. And now, the truth nobody wants to confront: age. Kelce enters the 2025 season at 36 years old, a senior citizen in tight end years. The position demands youth, Explosiveness and endurance, three qualities that inevitably erode with time. Kelce's mind and hands remain elite, but the body is speaking a different language. Let's be real, the tight end position in the NFL demands a rare fusion of size, speed, agility, and elite hands. And the harsh reality is this: every one of those attributes erodes with time. What makes this position especially unforgiving is the constant physical punishment tight ends endure. Linebackers, safeties, and defensive backs collide with them on every level of the field. It's a role built on durability and grit, and few escape unscathed. The statistical truth? Almost no tight ends sustain elite output into their mid-30s. Tony Gonzalez was the rare exception, but even he experienced late career dips. Jason Witten had flashes of brilliance, but fantasy-wise, his production became erratic. This is the unrelenting truth of the position. It chews up aging players and spits them out. Not even Travis Kelce is immune to the laws of physics and time. And this decline isn't just visible in the box score. The real warning lights are in the efficiency metrics. Yards per target, yards after catch, separation per route. They've all been on a multi-year downward trajectory. That's not a blip, that's a trend, and in professional sports, trends in aging players rarely reverse. The fantasy football reality check, let's not sugarcoat it. The tight end pool in fantasy football has long been a barren wasteland. A couple of stars dominate the top tier, followed by a cliff of mediocrity. But in 2025, the gap is even more pronounced. Brock Bowers has exploded onto the scene in Vegas, young, electric, and already the focal point. Trey McBride is a target magnet in Arizona. George Kittle, despite injury concerns, still possesses weak winning upside. And then there's everyone else. And unfortunately, that's where Kelce now resides. He's no longer the surefire matchup-breaking force that can single-handedly swing fantasy titles. He's drifted into that murky middle tier where name value exceeds real value, and fantasy GMs are still paying a premium for past glory. The draft trap. Kelce's ADP is a mirage. Right now, Travis Kelce is being drafted as the TE5 around pick 67 overall. That's the same territory as TJ Hawkinson, Chris Godwin, and Cortland Sutton. That's valuable draft capital, the kind that wins or loses leagues. Here's the problem. You're buying nostalgia, not future production. At that price point, you could secure a high upside RB2, a breakout WR candidate, or a dependable flex weapon. Instead, you're gambling on a 36-year-old tight end whose metrics are falling, whose target share is shrinking, and whose red zone role is deteriorating. The opportunity cost is massive. Those mid-rounds are where rosters are fortified, where savvy drafters land the depth that carries them through injuries, bye weeks, and playoff pushes. Spending a sixth rounder on a declining TE isn't just risky, it's a strategic misfire. Smarter strategy, draft like a pro. So what should smart fantasy managers do? Simple. If you can't land Bowers, McBride, or Kittle, punt the position. Target undervalued options like David Njoku, who's going significantly later but could match or exceed Kelce's production. Take a shot on Dalton Kincaid, who has the athleticism and opportunity in Buffalo to break out. Here's the kicker. The difference between TE5 and TE14 is often 20-30 fantasy points across the entire season. It's less than 2 points per game, easily offset by hitting on a sleeper WR or a flex RB in those same rounds. The Chiefs' evolving offense, a shift in identity. This isn't just about Kelce, this is about how Andy Reid's offense is evolving. He's never been rigid, he adapts to maximize talent, and with a young, explosive weapon like Rashee Rice ready to shine, emphasizing speed and separation, Kelce won't be phased out, but his role will shift. From featured playmaker to situational safety valve. He'll be valuable on third downs and in the red zone, but he won't command the target share that once made him fantasy gold. Plus, with a retooled offensive line and deeper backfield, expect more balanced play calling, more running, fewer passing attempts, and thus fewer opportunities across the board. Kansas City Chiefs Nation, it's time to strap in because your squad is about to receive a monumental boost heading into the 2025 season. The latest announcement has me more fired up than a kid tearing into gifts on Christmas morning, and I guarantee every loyal member of Chiefs Kingdom is feeling that same surge of adrenaline right now. Rashee Rice is back. And he's not just back, he's coming with a vengeance. Coach Andy Reid took to the podium Thursday and delivered the update every Chiefs fan has been anxiously praying for since that brutal knee injury sidelined Rice last October. After undergoing surgery for a torn LCL, the young wideout has been grinding relentlessly, and let me tell you, his work ethic is on another level. Coach Reid confirmed Rice has been a full participant in both voluntary OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Proof of his grit, focus, and relentless drive to return stronger than ever. Let me break down exactly why this should have Chiefs fans doing cartwheels in their living room, for that injury struck him down like a thunderbolt. Rice was absolutely scorching opposing defenses in just 4 games. Yes, only 4. He tallied 24 receptions, 288 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's not just good. That's elite, game-breaking production that had defensive coordinators across the league staying up at night trying to scheme against him. And now, he's coming back at the perfect time. Kansas City's receiving unit has undergone a major transformation. DeAndre Hopkins, who brought veteran poise and reliable hands, has left for Baltimore, opening the door wide for Rice to ascend into the WR1 role. Everyone knows he's got the chops to own it, and let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Travis Kelce, a future Hall of Famer and the heart of this offense, is turning 36 in October. While he's still playing at an elite level, the Chiefs must begin redistributing offensive responsibilities, and Rashee Rice is primed to shoulder that load. Rice's rookie campaign in 2023 wasn't just solid, it was spectacular. The second-round pick burst onto the scene and immediately rewrote the record books. 7 receiving touchdowns and 79 receptions as a rookie. That's not padding stats in garbage time. Those are clutch, momentum-shifting plays in high-stakes moments. What makes Rice such a threat isn't just his glue-like hands. It's his football intelligence, surgical route running, and uncanny ability to exploit soft spots in coverage. He makes elite defenders look ordinary, and Mahomes thrives when he has trustworthy weapons. And Rice is exactly that. He creates separation, wins contested battles, and turns routine catches into explosive games. And he's surrounded by a receiving core that's quietly becoming one of the most lethal in the NFL. Marquise Hollywood-Brown brings blazing speed and veteran savvy. Juju Smith-Schuster offers grit, clutch instincts, and championship pedigree. Xavier Worthy is already flashing brilliance as a rookie, and Jalen Royce, the 4th-round gem, adds dynamic depth and untapped potential. But Rice is the crown jewel, the potential WR1 who can be the engine of this offense. He's not just talking big, he's exuding belief. He's been vocal about how this group is going to be explosive and light up the scoreboard. And you can feel it. It's not just swagger, it's certainty backed by talent. When you combine Rice's deep threat ability, Worthy's speed, Brown's experience, and Juju's consistency, you're looking at a nightmare matchup for defensive coordinators week after week. Let's not forget the Chiefs were this close to making NFL history last year, falling just short of a three-peat after a tough loss to Philadelphia. That stung bad. The Eagles exposed a few cracks, the lack of consistent big plays, and some heartbreaking drops in critical moments. But now, with Rice back, rejuvenated, and ready to dominate, the Chiefs are reloading for another title run. But as last season showed us, even elite dynasties must adapt or fall behind. The issues that plagued Kansas City's offense weren't flukes or bad luck. They were glaring, data-bad weaknesses that simply couldn't be ignored. The Chiefs ranked 27th in the league in explosive plays per dropback, managing to gain more than 15 yards only 6.2% of the time. That's not championship caliber production, especially for a team with Patrick Mahomes at the helm. The only teams worse in that category, the Browns, Giants, Patriots, Dolphins, and Bears, all of whom were watching the playoffs from their couches. The numbers get more alarming, just 6.7 yards per attempt, firmly in the league's lower tier. Only 42 passing plays of 20-plus yards, 6th worst in the NFL. And only 4 passing plays of 40-plus yards, tied for 2nd worst in the entire league. Their longest pass of the season, A modest 54 yards, third worst league-wide. Stats like that don't win rings. They get coordinators fired and postseason dreams shattered. But here's why Rashee Rice changes the equation entirely. This young phenom has a rare blend of explosiveness, precision, and football IQ. And considering football AQ, because Pexham's, he can turn a 5-yard slant into a 50-yard sprint. He separates deep downfield, he improvises when plays break down, and that is exactly the kind of player Kansas City was sorely missing last season. The chemistry he shares with Mahomes, it was already forming in those first 4 games before the injury. Timing, trust, rhythm, all showing flashes of something truly special. And while Mahomes has elevated many receivers, Rice is one of the few with the talent to elevate Mahomes right back. That kind of mutual synergy is how you build dynasties, break records, and win Super Bowls. See, when you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you've scaled the NFL's summit multiple times, every decision is scrutinized under a microscope, like an insect pinned in a lab. Every draft pick, every free agent signing, every trade, it all matters because the margin for error narrows to razor-thin levels when you're trying to sustain greatness. And that's precisely where we find ourselves today, discussing a move that could define the next decade of Chiefs football. The 2025 NFL Draft came and went, and while most fans were laser-focused on the flashy top picks, something intriguing was brewing down at pick number 32. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pick 32? That's just the last pick of the first round. What's the big deal? Let me tell you, that mindset is exactly why so many people miss the forest for the trees when it comes to constructing championship rosters. True dynasties aren't built on just the top 5 picks that everybody obsesses over on social media. They're forged in the fire of identifying hidden gems where others see risk, spotting raw talent where others see question marks, and having the guts to make bold decisions when the stakes are sky high. And that's precisely what Kansas City did when they stepped up to the podium and announced their selection. The name that echoed through the draft was Josh Simmons, an offensive tackle from Ohio State University. Now, before you roll your eyes and mutter another offensive lineman, how thrilling, let me break down why this pick could either be the steal of the draft or the haunting misstep that shadows this franchise for years. First off, let's talk about what Ohio State has been producing lately in the trenches. We're talking about a veritable factory of NFL-ready talent. These aren't just big bodies filling space. They're polished, technically sound, fundamentally disciplined players who grasp the intricacies of pass protection and run blocking at the elite level. When you see that Ohio State logo next to a lineman's name, you'd better sit up straight. History shows that Columbus knows how to mold linemen into pros. But here's where it gets truly fascinating, and I need y'all to lock in because this is critical to understanding the gravity of this pick. Josh Simmons wasn't supposed to be on the board at pick 32. Hell, most draft experts graded him as a top 10 talent. Some even put him in the top 5. So what went wrong? How did a player with that kind of pedigree slip all the way to the tail end of the first round? The answer is one word that strikes terror into the hearts of general managers, coaches, and fans alike: injuries. Evaluating talent in the NFL isn't just about what a player can do when they're healthy. It's about projecting what they can contribute over the course of a grueling, punishing NFL career. And when you're a championship caliber team like Kansas City, every detail counts. Simmons had been battling injury concerns that caused scouts and front offices to pause. Questions that didn't necessarily take him off the board, but certainly forced teams to weigh the risk against the potential reward. And that's exactly the kind of high-stakes calculus that separates championship organizations from perennial underachievers. Now let's talk about Kansas City's specific situation, because context in the NFL is everything. The Chiefs have faced questions along their offensive line, particularly at the... Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. Y'all think you know what's next for your beloved red and gold? Think again. This franchise just pulled a move that sent shockwaves through the entire NFL landscape, and I'm here to unpack exactly why this decision could propel Kansas City into an unstoppable dynasty or leave them vulnerable to a dramatic fall. Don't you dare scroll past this watch. Every second of this breakdown, smash that like button, drop a W in the comments if you believe in the Chiefs, or an L if you've lost faith, and hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to reveal will forever transform how you see this team's future. Now, let's dive deep into the heart of the matter. When you've got a generational quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the literal engine that powers your entire offense, protecting his blind side is absolutely paramount. We're not just talking about keeping him on his feet. We're talking about giving him the time and pocket space to make those jaw-dropping highlight reel plays that have made him the face of the entire league. The left tackle position in the NFL is akin to being the Secret Service for the president. One slip up and the whole operation unravels. It's a role that demands a rare blend of size, athleticism, technique, and ironclad mental toughness. You're facing off against some of the most ferocious pass rushers on the planet, guys who've been honing their craft since childhood, and your singular mission is to ensure they don't get anywhere near your quarterback. What makes this pick even more compelling is how it aligns with Kansas City's long-term blueprint. This isn't just about patching a hole for the 2025 season. This is about laying the foundation for sustained excellence over the next 5 to 10 years. When you draft an offensive tackle in the first round, you're not just selecting a player. You're securing a franchise cornerstone, someone you can build your offensive identity around for years to come. But here's where the stakes get even higher and why I'm so fired up about this situation. The success rate for offensive tackles drafted in this range tells a story, one every Chiefs fan needs to grasp. We're not talking about randomly tossing darts and hoping for the best. We're talking about a meticulous risk-reward calculation based on historical data and performance patterns. Analyzing the last decade's drafts, offensive tackles selected between picks 21 and 37 have boasted a success rate of roughly 67%. That might not sound earth-shattering on its own, but when you compare it to the overall first-round success rate, which hovers around 50-55%, you start to see why this range has become a goldmine for unearthing quality starters. Red zone regression. The touchdown drought. Historically, Kelce has feasted in the red zone. Size, savvy, and trust made him Mahomes' go-to. But last year, just 3 touchdown receptions, his lowest since 2015. Some of that was Kansas City's red zone struggles. But it's also how defenses are adapting, bracketing him, knowing he's no longer a deep threat, and shifting focus elsewhere. Meanwhile, younger receivers are drawing the favorable looks, and this trend, it's likely to intensify as Kelce ages and loses the bursts that once gave him the edge in tight spaces. Injury risk and motivation. The silent threats. Kelce has been remarkably durable, no doubt. But at 36, the calculus changes. Every hit stings more. Every recovery takes longer. And one injury at this stage, it could derail everything. Then there's the human element, motivation. He's won Super Bowls, earned millions, cemented his legacy. The hunger that once drove him, does it burn the same? This isn't shade, it's reality. Priorities shift. And in fantasy, you want grinders, young, hungry players with something to prove. Players still chasing their first payday or playoff berth, not aging icons with one foot out the door. Bottom line, the end of an era. This isn't a hot take. It's not speculative. It's reality. Kelce's efficiency metrics have been in steady decline. His target share is poised to shrink. His injury risk is rising, and yet he's still being drafted as if it's 2020. Don't fall for the nostalgia trap. Smart drafters will resist the urge to chase history and focus on building a team for today. The Travis Kelce fantasy era, it's coming to a close. Respect the legacy, acknowledge the greatness. But if your goal is to win, it's time to move on. Thank you, guys. See you next video.